Exactly.
I don't think playing two female.
Playing a female character is genuinely an advantage.
I will put that one with a small caveat of that if you're just going to use your character as a method to make bad jokes, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you're just a dude playing a girl just to be like, a creepy like sex fantasy, then yeah, you are definitely just doing it for the wrong reasons.
Please exit stage left.
Yeah. And
yeah, that's true.
All of us GM, one of those players can recognize them on site. We all know the difference because they treat their characters completely differently.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I have things like, oh, maybe I'll do a female character this time around just for the fun of it, and then I think like, what if I have to do a female voice at any given point? And then I go, nah, I'm gonna go back. I can't do a female voice to save my life.
Yeah, I'm currently playing two. One's a female but a Warforged, and so I'm just playing it exactly the same. Like, I don't really see any difference to how I'm playing.
Warforged, do you even have a gender?
Yeah, it's like she was designed. She was designed, but like, yeah, she doesn't like she's like the way my backstory is that she just randomly was built and she doesn't know like why she was built, and so she's just going around looking for answers, like because she's a cleric / druid, and so her design is based off an actual god, and so she's going to churches looking for an answer of why she was built. But then because she's a living statue of an actual god, she's like a blasphemous instead of the church, like this living statue of like their god. So yeah, I'm just like, hey, who am I? It's like, you don't know who you are.
Imagine you're just having like a nice old pray at your church. Yeah. You hear the doors open. It's like, oh, who is this? It could be like another one of the priests come for their like daily prayer. It could be a new child worthy of salvation. You turn around and it's a walking statue of your god.
Like, how would you react to get chased out? But yeah, and the other one, I'm actually playing like I'm playing a sort of Naruto-esque character. Crispy has been trapped in the body of a teenage girl. Okay. Yeah, and so the teenage girl is just like trying to figure out who she is, while like Crispy it's sort of like a warlock-esque sort of relationship where I give her powers and she goes and like messes with shit. That's it though. So I'm playing Crispy that's trapped in a teenage girl, which is weird. But I don't see it, like, I'm just like, I'm badass, I'm going to just fight shit, I don't care, right? That's how I play my characters.
Well, and I'm going to be a little bit selfish here and be upfront about why it's important to me, is because that's how I explored my queerness before I came out, when I was still so deep in the closet I was visiting Narnia.
That is so a great way to describe it.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite ways to say it. But when I wasn't comfortable with, doing anything that might stray out of my image of self, I could do that as a character in a game. And so I could play an effeminate guy, or I could play a woman, or I could play Warforged who is neither. And isn't that strange? And, that was ways for me to explore those things before I had words for it.
A lot in my live group back in the early 2000s, the frequency in which essentially that exact same experience played out for multiple players that were part of the group. It was startling, but it's only startling, like, honestly, like now when I think back on it. But at the time, it was just simply that happened naturally, that it wasn't even enough to like make any of us like blink and like think overly about it. But that exact same sort of experience happened for a lot of those players. It opened up doors for them to think about themselves in new ways, and for them to explore different things that, different life experiences that they otherwise did not, live. They didn't have the otherwise experience to do it. So, it was a great thing for that. And I would say like 99% of it all turned out well. There may be one or two like cases back there, but as far as I can remember, most of them were good. And I know that we're trying to like talk about like good player stuff, but like something that just popped into my mind a moment ago when you were talking about like, you can tell when you've got a player who's coming in and doing something with their character in bad faith. I had two guys who I was friends with in high school who joined kind of late in the lifespan of that live group. So they were well out of high school at the time. They come in and they get started, and within 10 minutes of them having made characters and jumping into the game, I'm looking over at between me and the other guy who was the other DM for the group. I'm looking at him, and because he's playing at the time and I'm running, and we're looking at each other of just like, this isn't going to work. This is not going to work out long term. And it's not that they were like bad in that particular manner. They just they went to the game not to engage with the world, not to role play out in the way that would mesh well with everybody. They were there to take out their frustrations on the world, on this fantasy world.
Yeah.
They were the worst kind of chaos player, is really what it was. And after the session, we kind of sat them to the side and we're like, hey, glad that you guys could show up. Honestly, we loved like just sitting and talking with you and all that sort of stuff. That's great, but like, are you guys going to keep doing this? Because we may not want to do like actual D&D with each other kind of thing. And for whatever particular purpose, like one of them was like, actually, I don't think I could stop doing it. I don't think I could stop burning down every building that we come within 5 feet of, and that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, thank you for being honest, but I guess this is going to be the last session that we play together. And that ended up how that ended up being. And they were very, amicable about it. And we did hang out outside of D&D beyond that. But it was one of those things where it's just like, they walked in, it seemed like it would be a good fit. And it was almost immediately clear that no, it was not going to be a good fit.
Weirdly, I was actually going through this exact same thing with my own group, but I'm a player in it. And so both the DM and the guy that's doing it is both new. And he's just chaotic evil in the sense of just being chaotic evil. And it's just so hard to be like player in a group where like you have a goal and you try to achieve that goal, but you have someone in your own group that's going against those exact goals. And so, I'm just like, okay, I'm the experienced one here. I'm going to be level-headed and talk to everyone and say like, you can't do this, in a game where it's a group game. And this guy's sort of playing I think you mentioned it before, main character syndrome. Like he's like
the lone wolf main character syndrome.
And like my character wants to like save my people, and then he goes about and ends up helping the bad guys help kill my people. And I'm like, okay, dude, I'm a chaotic good character. You're a chaotic evil character. I'm like saying to both the DM and the player, like, if you do this, then my character has justifiable reason to kill your character, which has PvP. But because I don't want to do that and you're a new character, the DM has to help, what's the solution for this problem? And then I'm telling him, like, you can't really, because if everyone in the group's good. So, backstory a bit. He starts with a session 0 saying, like, he wants to do a good campaign with good player characters. And this guy comes in and wants to play a chaotic evil character. And so I'm like, to the DM, like, it's your choice. You can tell him not to do that. But he's like, nope, you can play a chaotic evil character. And I'm like, okay.
And again, at the end of the day, the DM does, like the DM just has to say like, hey, you aren't allowed to like basically be an a-hole,
Yeah. And so like So go ahead to them.
So I have had a very similar situation in a Lust campaign, and this was he's a good DM, but he's a little bit, for my taste anyway, I don't know if everyone's saying, he's a little bit too much of the players can do whatever the hell they want DM, with not a lot of hey, just like don't do that. So like my character, long story short, gunslinger, some of the first guns, he's the only one that has the schematics, and they're very close to him and he doesn't want them getting out. That's long story short. One of the other characters disappear for a while, come back as like a really chaotic and evil character. The first thing they do is my character goes down after a few failed saves. They proceed to steal everything off my body, all my weapons, including the schematics for the guns, and then proceed to give them to the biggest artificer guild in the entire world.
Yeah,
and,
see, this is what we call a failure as a GM.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it allows that. That's not okay.
Literally, just like, this is my...
Wait, so your character was dead or just down?
Just down. He was just unconscious.
But they did all that in the span of you being unconscious?
Apparently so. Or because I had gone full 0 health down, and I was barely recovering.
Probably one round someone steals, second round someone heals you, and so
Oh, this was at the end of combat as well. I don't know exactly why I was unconscious for so long. But,
you were unconscious for so long because you were being dicked over by your quote-unquote friends and quote-unquote game master.
Yeah.
But like the biggest thing is that my DM also, like, does go on about, like, when it comes to characters, just like, what is the character's motivation to stay with the party? My character now has no motivation because he actively despises one of the party members and actively wants to kill him.
Yeah, that's what my character's going through as well. Exactly the same thing. Just how can you stay with a group that's going against your exact...
This isn't even the worst part of it all. Like, as shocking as that may sound, the worst part is that, like, this DM also, you know, as every DM does, like, you know, milestone XP, milestone levels. And this character just, I don't exactly know what happened. It was a off session since the character couldn't make it to one. Like, something they had changed to a more chaotic trickster god. They got a level up from that.
No, like, yeah.
Yeah, and I
like behavior.
Went to my DM and go, like, what the fuck? You do all this, screw my character's complete backstory, his whole reason for being with the party. You do this, and then you give him a level up.
Also, again, not how milestone experience works.
Were they in a relationship, your DM and this character? Because it sounds like that GM girlfriend thing.
Yeah, no. At least I
don't think so. Let's try. Do we want to try positive stories again?
Yes.
I'm very sorry, but I want to know what your DM's response was to being called out. Just so we end on that.
It was basically just like, just the players, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, I don't get to choose what the players do. And I was like, you're the bloody DM! You could kill the player if you wanted.
They lost the right to say, that's what players do when they give them a milestone level up, which is not how milestone level.
Yeah.
But to be on a more positive note, I think a good player is somebody that actively keeps the whole party, like, involved. Like, you know, they'll, you know, in character and, like, you know, out of character, like, they're trying to help that player, but in character they'll find a way to, you know, get them involved and help them out. And like a really good player I have is Prune Pilferer. If they play a shard mine called Cayman, and a lot of the players call them the emotional support rock.
Love it.
The emotional support rock.
Yeah, I actually struggle with this. Like, I sort of don't know how to engage. Like, I know how to, like, talk to the player characters, but in terms of, like, if experienced players are, like, talking and then you hear the other players are quiet, like, I've heard a couple of times them saying, I don't know how to be, like, put my DM side to the side, and, you know, when that happens, like, what does your like, you know, jump in and go, what's your character doing? I don't want to be, like, taking the DM's, you know, job from them and do that, right? So I
have that problem too in my campaign, and, you know, maybe there are better ways to do it, but I do, like, do that thing where I, like, after, you know, the person I'm handling is done with their activity for the moment, I go, hey, what is the like, half-orc player? I go, hey, what is your character doing at the moment while they're busy with that? You know, like, just, like, not to, like, I'm not trying to put them on the spot, but I just like, hey, like, what's your character up to? Are they trying to make some extra gold? Are they trying to investigate this spot on the wall? Like, you know, just, you know, I want to make sure everybody has, like, an even amount of time where, like, no one feels like they're the center focus or the main character. I want to have everyone to have a good time.
Just gently push the spotlight in their direction.
Yeah, I think, that's the whole, like, a good, like, if you mesh with your group, I think that's really, as a good player, that's, like, a goal for you. Like, just get the vibe of everyone in the group and try to, like, as best you can, create a character or be a person that is, like, actively involved and wants to be a part of I think you said this before, Jim, just, like, you know, be invested, and, like, your character should be, like, go with the flow sort of thing, instead of, like, you know, become a main character and stand out. Be a wave, not a rock. Master Crispy says.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think this advice, like, a good... What happens if you're a forever DM? Could you apply the same advice? Or would there be different advice?
Well...
Was this
No. Go ahead.
I was really asking if they're asking me or someone else, right?
Oh, everyone in general. Like, what do you guys think? Because, like, a forever DM knows how, you know, they've experienced several character types before. They will know in advance, but, like, if you know, like, let me give you an example, right? So I was playing, actually I don't want to ruin the game for you, but so playing this game, and we were split up into 2 teams, and we had to go through a couple of challenges, right? And there's a team of 3, and then we turned the corner and we turned the corner in the death turret, right? And like, as a player, as a person, I know what a death tyrant is, but as a character, I don't know what a death tyrant is. And so knowledge of the game, I have to like suppress it. And so like, know what this is happening, so I need to do this. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where I have forgotten where I was going with it. But so does that make sense? Sort of like
Yeah.
You have information. It's like metagaming pretty much, but like you
have the experience.
Yeah. It's like the whole troll thing. You know how like, a troll is like good against fire, but like, does your player know that? And then some people say, well, it's common knowledge that, fire is good against these, but...
Yeah, a good player definitely can separate, like out of character, knowledge and in character, like, motivation, like exactly what you said, like metagame, like, oh, the player may know, hey, if they press this button on the wall in a certain sequence, it's going to open a secret hatch and go right to the final boss or like a treasure, but the player doesn't know, like a bad player would be like, oh, I'm going to investigate this wall for no particular reason. And, look at that. I rolled it high enough to see there's this button. Let me just randomly boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
But if, if the character doesn't know, they're just going to see a wall. They're going to walk right past it,
Oh yeah, I remember what happened. So what happened was like my character was pretending it was like, it looks like something like, cause like I turned around the corner first. I don't know why as a cleric I was in front, but I turned around the corner and then this death tyrant just floats into view. And then I'm like, oh, it's like, and then the other party member's like, what do you see? And I'm like, it's some like undead beholder sort of thing. Cause we fought a beholder before. So I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, and so my DM was really happy. And then I accidentally like, so this is what I do to the death tyrant, and then you hear that, like as in what this is, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad, like I ruined the immersion for my own DM. I felt so bad, like I know what this is, like so yeah, I find difficulty in like separating character. I'm trying to, but like it's like I'll shout this out. I know what this is. What this is.
It is hard, like because it comes so naturally to say like what it is.
It's like, it's
so natural. But it's like, what that is. I should say what it is, but like, but you shouldn't.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you know the Pipe Dreamers. They're, I believe is it Pathfinder? I'm not sure. It's an RPG group, not as popular as Critical Role, but like, kind of up there. And, like one of the first things they come across is safe, and they're like, oh, maybe we find a code somewhere to it, and it's like, oh, under the desk you find a piece of paper with these 4 numbers, and the like the players know, the DM knows, like, oh, that's the combination to the safe, but in character they kind of play with it, like, oh, this isn't today's date, this is useless, I'm gonna crumple it up and toss it in the corner over there, I'm just like, and then the other player goes, wait, maybe that's like a secret code or something, like they're just like having fun with it, and like the players are laughing, the DM is laughing, they're all having a good time, and eventually they do try the combination, and they're like, oh my god, that was the code, oh my god, you're so smart, like they're just messing around, having a good time, and that's at the end of the day, that
should be like number 1 rule of a good D&D player: have fun. If you're having fun, hopefully other people are having fun around you. If you're having fun and no one else is having fun around you, then change yourself.
What's like that like monster thing you were bringing up, Crispy, with like saying like, oh, I know what that thing is, when you, the character, don't. You see, I have the special workaround, which is that's why I play Blood Hunter, because then it's a part of my character that I know shit about monsters, and I don't have to worry about anything.
I was about to say that's usually my trick. Is I either play a character that plays dumb to everything, so that I don't have to answer any questions, or conversely, I play a really smart character so I can just know everything, and then when I know it, it's not a surprise.
Exact same trick. Really doing that right now in my 2 games that I'm playing. I've got a elf who is a like nature cleric who has high intelligence and high wisdom, and I am the experienced player in a group of otherwise very fresh players. So it's basically just a workaround for me to, in character, sub DM for the DM to be able to provide like context of like, oh, there's this thing over here. I heard a story once about blah blah blah, which sounds kind of like that. So like, watch out or be careful or keep an eye out for this thing or that thing. And then in another game, I'm a character who is a very unreliable, anywhere outside of the battlefield, a completely unreliable kind of character that you do not want to have them handle any sort of social interaction whatsoever. And it allows me to just zone out. I can just I can play off not paying attention to what the plot is by that because my character doesn't know what the plot is.
Well, that's like, so in my one game that I actually am getting to play in now,
Yay.
Sorry. Yeah, this is my first time playing in so long. But I created a sprite. This is Pathfinder 2e, so it's a sprite sorcerer with a nymph bloodline, and they are ADHD and pretty party person.
Nice.
And I use this as an excuse both to keep the plot moving forward, because if anybody starts doing the inevitable arguing about how they want to proceed, Sammy's ADHD fairy nature kicks in and they wander off. And then things happen. But I didn't just want to run around telling them to move the story along all the time, So instead, now I just have a very flighty Sammy who needs to be reminded what the story is and what's going on, and it's if someone forgets, it's Sammy has to ask for a reminder.
That just sounds like just high off his mind. No idea what's going on. He's just sort of going with whatever's going on.
Just being super in character.
I have requested and been granted permission to be as high as possible while I play Sammy. So
amazing.
Nice. It reminds me of my barbarian character, Sir Punchy, who's pretending to be a wizard after he accidentally sat on his friend and killed him. It's really cool because what happened was, so we were trying a new program called Foundry, and so I did not know how to use that. Yes. And so they were running a quick battle for me on how to use the controls and stuff, which I probably already forgot. And he used one of the tokens, which was a camel, and I pretty much in the game, just even though that was just a beginning, I was like, I cast magic missile and I just chuck a bunch of small rocks on my back. Yeah, it's fun. I need to play that more. It was a one shot and I missed my I created this whole backstory in like a couple of minutes. This is his story. He accidentally sat on his best friend, and now he has to pretend to be his best friend, even though he's like this giant Goliath barbarian.
That's incredible.
Anytime I see a player come up with a big pre-written backstory, I have simultaneous dread and joy, because there are only two types of players who come up with 10-page backstories. The amazing ones and the terrible ones.
Why didn't you take note of page 23 where I told you that my character hates camels?
I don't, at least when I'm DMing, I want players go create their own backstories, but I like them to if they ever want to talk me through the backstory, I always encourage them to do so, because then that makes it easier on me, because if they have made a mistake while writing, I don't have to message them about it. We're right here. And you can just tell me, it's like, oh, that was X thing was a mistake. I actually hate dolphins instead of camels.
I was on page 275 of my not a backstory.
Well, so my reasoning behind it is that, at least in my experience, that players who write 10-page backstories or greater are always super invested in their characters, which is great, as I already mentioned. So we're off to a good start. But that backstory will then tell you as they are invested in that character as a proxy of themselves.
Hell yeah. The self-insert.
Yeah, I think usually for backstory, I probably have at least just at most 1 or 2 paragraphs, and the rest is just notes of family and friends that I know that you would like to add into the story for the DM. But that's about it. But go ahead.
I literally did, for one of my first characters, I wrote a 10-page backstory.
See, what level are you?
I like to have I want to have an in-depth story. I want to have an in-depth backstory, because it gives the DM lots of things to work with, to make the things more interesting. And then at the same time, just if I have a 10-page backstory, that's 10 pages the DM has to read through and remember all the time and write notes about, and I don't want to be that much of a bother.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's more the issue of that if it's that 10-page backstory and you've like written in that you were the king of the world in your 10-page backstory.
I
like,
want to play page 3.
You know, I am famous throughout the land for having slain 1,000 foes, says the level 1 fighter.
Says the level 1 character.
You know, that's the kind of thing that I occasionally run into with the 10-page backstory thing. Like my 10-page backstory, you know, I at least kept things to my character being, you know, just badass for a fighter. But I didn't claim any ultimate demon power of doom or anything like that, like some people do.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy reading backstories, but like, if it's like longer than like a couple of pages, like no.
You know, you have to catch the Pokemon to evolve them first.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of implied that this is supposed to be the beginning of your story, not the end of your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So yeah, good player, maybe just a little bit less on backstory. Focus on the game first.
It's a needle to thread. You got to be invested up to a point.
Have it
in your character, but not so invested that you can't get invested with the
detailed, concise, and make it make sense.
Yes,
because if the backstory don't make any sense, it's not a very good backstory.
I am a backstory. I am a god of nature.
I remember this is just a homebrew thing that I saw on D&D Beyond because looking through Paul is a favorite pastime, and it was just one of the backgrounds that you could a homebrew background of D&D Beyond is just exiled god, and the whole background is just like, you're a god, that's it, you're good at everything you do, you have no weaknesses. That was the entire background.
Wait, quick question though, because I've actually seen that in a lot of D&D games. Is it true that if you kill a god, you get their power?
Yes.
Oh, shit.
So, at least per the Epic and Divine rules in 3.5, which was the last time they really spent a lot of time on the mechanics of gods. Like, you know, they talk a lot about them now, but they tend to not, like, mechanically talk about them anymore. But the last time they did, basically, there is a classification where you become divine, and if you're just divine 0, then you're like a demigod or a Hercules type character, and it affords you some basic protections, and then you get divine seed level powers based on a combination of worshippers or just having that power. And you can just take that seed from another god if you're that powerful.
So what you're saying is you need to get divine seed from gods to get more powerful.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Divine seed.
Which you can either, pry it out of their cold, dead divine chest, or you can get it in the other more, traditional way that usually ends up being like an Aesop fable for somebody later down.
Yeah. It's usually supposed to be like you either kill them for it or they give it to you because you convince them to give it to you for some reason.
The rules are a little vague on it in that sometimes they give away their godhead, or they break it up amongst several people, and then the original deity just fades away and basically doesn't exist anymore. Or they do continue to exist, but they take on some not exactly deity intermediary position or something like that, where they're kind of sort of a god, but they're not really a god. There's a lot of just confusing stuff to it, and it goes into excruciating detail if you really dig up the old Planescape materials on it. It goes into a lot of detail about how that works. So if you really wanted to get down into the nitty gritty of deities and even figure out how the background of being an exiled god of some sort could work in a balanced sort of manner, technically D&D does have a framework that you could build that around.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if DM would let me be the god of the most useless thing ever. I am the god of cheese.
Hey,
I am allowed to about cheese. Let me do this, please. Let me do what I do.
There was a comic I read a long time ago that was about gods, and the main character was the god of beer and apathy, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was very frustrating to him because he ended up having to start a religion because he didn't want to hear anybody praying. But then he realized that because he heard the prayers for beer and apathy, that meant he was starting to hear the prayers of everyone who was
drunk
and done with it.
Balls. Lamb, I control you now.
No, really, God of drunkenness and apathy. Like, you'll just get all the people done with it. You just slowly become more and more just God of being depressed.
God of depression. Oh God.
You just like me for real.
But you're only the god of people who are depressed and intoxicated.
So yeah, every depressed man ever.
The large majority of them, yes.
Yeah.
Real.
This took a turn.
It's goofy, but it's within the realm of possibility. And to segue this back into what makes good players,
don't drink too much.
That has something that's so off the wall, and they come to you with that, and then you're like, well, I remember this thing from previous editions, and you end up tying some big knot like that, so it quote unquote works within the canon of the game as a whole. That is a great thing, especially if they're totally down with handing you a basic concept and then letting you walk into their imaginary house and start knocking down walls and fixing up the wire and making sure it's up to code. Because that's another good thing too, is that having a player that walks in with a strong idea of what they want to do, even if they don't know the rules, is great. But if they're also so married to it that they won't allow any sort of change so that it can fit within the framework of the game, that is where that becomes a problem. But if they're going to be hey, here's my idea, this is what I would like to do, and then you're okay, well, we can kind of do this with this way, make this change here, make that change there, and they're awesome. That's also another good hallmark of a player who's willing to play it where it lands, basically, of okay, well, didn't go exactly where I wanted it to, but I can still tee up and knock it back on the course. So, things like that. That's another thing that would make a good player, is that they are able to take criticism for their idea and also building off of it collaboratively so that it does work as best as it can. That kind of thing. I think that also is a real good hallmark of a good player.
Yeah, I also agree. Another thing I like is accepting bad rolls. A lot of people don't. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have bad luck. Just roll with it. Ironically. No.
Yeah, I get you.
I need to make a TikTok of just all my bad luck in board games when I'm streaming. But
I am well known in my group for having the worst rolls ever.
Because this reminded me of a story, right? So at my game store, we ran a West March campaign, and the DMs of that group, and so there were 6 of us, including the DM. Half of us were experienced who have DM'd before and were DMing in the West Marches game. And the other 3 were new players, including the DM, new DM. And it was we were just having fun. We were playing all level 10 characters, so everyone was sort of helping the new players sort of with their characters. And one of the DMs, we would be in combat and he would roll, and then he picked up the dice and rolled again. And I'm looking at him going, why are you rolling again? He's I didn't like that roll. I'm you are fudging. You're not the DM. You can't fudge rolls. What the hell? I was and he's looking, why not? Get him going, you are a DM. What the hell are you? Have you been doing this all this time? He's well, yeah, if I don't like the roll, I'm gonna roll it again. That's not how it works. I'm so mad. I was so...
Okay, this is out of curiosity. Are all of you as, superstitious about dice as I am?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, because I genuinely have. If I have a new dice set, I'll roll it twice. If I get really poor rolls on those 2 rolls, they go in the quarantine zone. And then I've got 2 dice sets which have consistently rolled well, and I keep them separate in the good dice box.
So for me, whenever I buy a new dice, what I've noticed is that when I roll good when I buy them, they roll. It's buy me, please. I roll good. And then when I play them in game, they do not do what I bought them for. Yeah, I get so mad. I'm oh God, I got 2 net 20s with this dice. This dice is going to be so good. And I go to the game. 1. What are you doing? But yeah, so many dice I've been tricked by them. So I'm I want to buy dice, but I don't want to buy dice. Ironically, the dice that roll the best for me is the ones I got from I won an essential starter kit from like a convention, and then it's those just clear red dice with the white numbers on it, and they roll good. I'm like, I spend money on like buying like shiny dice with these like essential. Like I'm rolling with these now. These are best dice.
So engineered GM dice.
Well, that's because that's what I was going to ask. What is your guys' opinion on like those really fancy, like essentially like GM dice, like Starson said, versus just your run of the mill, like store bought, dice. Like what do you prefer?
If the dice do not look good, I ain't touching them.
Wow.
I need my dice to look pretty.
I like the visual. Like right now, my game store has just got a bunch of dice, and they're like really expensive, but they look so nice. There's like ones where they got like it's like a fluid inside the a glitter sort of like glitter and glue sort of effect inside. And it's got like this marble in the center of it. When you roll it, that spins as well. And I'm like, then they got another one that's like a red dragon designed one, and it's like got all these like intricate like runes on it. And it's like it's a metal dice, and it's really. But on the other hand, the dice, like I said, the dice that are rolling the best for me are the like cheap, $20 like $10 dice. Just the clear plastic, like. Why are you? And then the really nice ones, I got this like it's like black granite dice, but it's got like this rift inside that's got like a ruby like see-through, so you can see through it to the other side, but the granite on the top and the bottom are like you can't see through it. And those dice are shit. I bought them for so much, and I'm like, why would you roll good? Yeah, it depends. Like I like them, but it depends on if you roll good for me. I don't care what you look like as long as you roll nice.
See, they have to look pretty to me. They have to be pretty.
For me, visually, the only thing that's important is readability.
Oh, yes, that's good.
I mean, like, what's the point of rolling if you can't fucking read the dice?
Yeah, I bought dice from America, and then I thought they looked really nice. And then when I got them, they were actually like smaller than what they thought they would be. And so I rolled them. I have to get a magnifying glass out to read the number. I'm like, it was ripped off. GM, we were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say I have a set of metal dice that are my precision. I call them the ruby reds. And they're the ones I keep in my nice box. And if I'm your GM, those are what I'm rolling. Because I kind of want to make a whole thing out of it. But if I'm a player, I just like the clicky clacky shiny mathy rocks. I hoard so many of them. I have masses, like literal bowls on my table of dice.
Yeah, I need to get more. I just got this bag of dice. Speaking of dice rolls, do you guys have a way of rolling dice? Like, do you have a specific like thing you do? Like, you know how some people like they blow on the dice and then roll it like in gambling, like casinos, or do you just like chuck it? Fair.
I don't really have a specific method of rolling, but I will always roll inside a dice roller because that seems to make my dice roll better.
Okay. I had this real when I was like starting D&D, I had this real stupid way of rolling dice. I like chuck it into the air and then let it roll off my hand. It's like and then everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, it works. It does not work." And it stopped working, and I'm like, "That's just dumb."
I developed a backspin toss with mine because I wanted my dice to come back to me as opposed to have to get up and then like find it after it had fallen off the edge of the table on the other side of the room.
Ooh. Oh, nice. That's a smart idea.
Now I just use a box. Went anywhere. I just roll inside of a little box. It's got actually a wallet came in it, so it's got like the little like foam pads on the side.
Oh, nice.
That way I can roll it, and it doesn't make a lot of noise when I do it. But if I want,
that's really cool.
That's cool.
If I want the click clack though, which I find that now that I play all of my games online, I still use actual physical dice when I'm rolling as the DM. If I want players to start sweating, I take out the padding so that it makes the click-clack noise, and they can hear me rolling. Sometimes I'll just roll dice, even when nothing's going on, just to up the tension a little bit.
That's genius.
Do you guys do that to scare players? Just randomly roll dice?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's my favorite thing to do.
The look on the player's face is priceless.
Or make him like roll a perception check when there's nothing there.
Or better yet, hit them with one of the DM code phrases when there's no reason to.
Are you sure you want to do that?
When they're like, yeah, are you sure you want to? How exactly are you touching the device? You know?
It seems to be normal.
Yeah.
Like, no, maybe.
My problem is I worked for lawyers for a year, and so my language is just nothing I say is flat for sure unless it's something I know for sure. So it's almost always, yes, it appears to be. Yes, I think it might be so.
No, I need accurate. I need decisive. I need accurate words. Do not go halfway on this. Tell me, is it a mimic? Maybe. No.
Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Who knows?
You don't know what the mimic identifies as. You cannot. Well, now it is a chance.
Who's to say?
Love mimics. Mimics are hilarious. Love the memes of it.
There is an idea that I've wanted to play with like a long time, but I never really knew how to work it in. But like just like a small minor town, like really minor, like 3 to 4 buildings, but like it's a fake town. It's all mimics, and they eat people who come in and like.
I literally had that happen to me in my last game session.
Oh,
we're dealing with Feywild stuff in this game, so everything's kind of got this fairy tale feel about it to begin with, and we find a cottage in the woods kind of thing, and we're like, okay, something's up here. We know that the hag that we've been like trying to chase down is involved with this somehow. And so we go inside, and there is a opaque dome, magical dome, like in the middle of the like main room of this cottage. We can hear snoring coming from out. So it's somebody has cast the party tent, 8-hour long spell in the middle of this cabin, and we're trying to figure out like, okay, who's in there, and should we wake them up, or is this, like we pop the bubble and it turns out to be like an owl bear or something. And so we're poking around this little cottage looking for like clues, and we're finding like portraits and little knickknacks and all this sort of stuff. And then just like out of the blue, while we're all in separate rooms at this point, the DM's like, everybody roll initiative. And we're like, excuse me. And literally everything just comes alive. Every other object is a mimic. And then ultimately the house itself turns out to also be a mimic. So it's just a mimic colony that did have legitimate items in it and was actually being used as a living space. But it was all friggin' mimics that were working for the hag. And they were just, I guess, waiting for us to either leave, or if we didn't leave within a specified amount of time, activated. And we were not going to survive that encounter. I'm playing the cleric. I go down, then the rogue goes down, and our warlock was last one up, but he was literally like 2 hit points away from going down. And so he had an item that had been given to him in a previous session, which was told to him that this is an oh crap, wait for the right time to use this sort of thing. And he has no idea what it does, but he's like, there can't be a better time than now to use this random thing. And so he throws down the item to because it's in a jar or whatever, and he throws it down to break it, and there's a puff of smoke. And the DM's like, well, since you've used the item, now I need to change maps on Roll20. And so we changed to a different map and wake up, because we've all gotten teleported to another location. And so now we don't know where the hell we are or what's going on, because the last thing that 2 of us remember is that we were inside of a house that suddenly came alive and tried to eat us. So nobody knows what the hell is going on or where we're at. But the entire encounter, though, was, even though we were starting to go down, the entire encounter was very fun. It was real crazy to okay, is this particular, is the door a mimic? No. Is the floor a mimic? Yes. Is the bed a mimic? No. Is the bathtub a mimic? Yes. So
at some point you just start stabbing everything that appears inanimate. Just in case. At what point?
Round 3.
You walk up to it, you walk up to the door, just I think this is our way out. Wait. Get the fighter to stab it first.
To broadcast and to also throw us off the trail, the first quote-unquote inanimate object that did something to prove that it wasn't inanimate was a tiny-sized water weir that was living inside of a real teapot. So it's a goblet of tea in this teapot that's like, like pokes its head up like a freaking Ghibli movie character, pokes its head up out of the teapot and is like waving at us and making little bubbles and whatnot. And we're like, oh, well, this is a cute little blorbo that we have found in this place. And then everything, like literally like a minute later, everything starts trying to freaking eat us.
Oh, wait, what is I'm sorry, what's the significance of the elemental? I'm not getting it. Like, it was just a blorbo, or is it like something like symbiotic? With the
it's literally a water weird. It's a tiny water weird as far as like stats are concerned. It is intelligent and it has lived in this location, which is where the mimic colony, the hag, has been living here. So the water weird, however, though, is not hostile to us. So if we can figure out how to communicate with it, none of us speak the Aquan, the water language. None of us speak that. So until we can figure out a way to communicate with it, then we can't really do anything. But otherwise it's a friendly creature that lived in the same area with the thing that we're chasing down, and therefore has information it can share with us if we can figure out how to communicate with it.
Gotcha. But I thought it was like trying to warn you or something.
Well, but the DM used it as a way to like inform us that things are not what they seem to be by having a inanimate object suddenly be animate. It's just that they had the first ones to be that way, be friendly to us. We're thinking whimsical kind of fairy tale, not terrifying kind of tale.
Yeah, horror. It turned to horror real fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess one last question before the end is, what do you guys think of like leaving breadcrumbs for your players? How Fuzzy's DM had kind of like hinted that like, hey, there's something definitely weird about this place, but like they didn't outright say that there were mimics like in every cabinet. But like, do you think it's like really tough to pull off? Do you think like it's like not worth the risk of accidentally spoiling your players? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's fine, because the whole thing of like it is, saying like, oh, you walk into this house and something's not quite right. Like, when you walk into somewhere and you just get like a bad vibe, and you're like, something's not quite right about this place. It's like that, the DM is telling you just like, your character's just like, you get a bad vibe, it has failed the vibe check. And
I think that's something important to remember is that when kind of games, sorry, how do I phrase this? We're only seeing what our GMs are telling us. So I feel like it's okay to plant things a little more obviously, because these are the kind of things that heroes would notice. Like you said about the place feeling off, or the town having a disturbing feel, or soft whispers in the wind, or whatever. These are the kind of things that heroes notice because that's their purpose in the story.
Yeah.
That is quite literally their job.
Yeah.
So like...
Exactly.
So my recommendation to other GMs is don't feel too embarrassed to point out the ambiance, as it were.
Yeah.
Like
I think like a good example is the last session actually I played is we had an NPC that I kind of, without going into like the full on backstory, that essentially one of our player characters was kidnapped, and the party spent like a couple sessions, rescuing them, and ended up having like this really epic fight. But they were also imprisoned with some other women, and I just like left a little breadcrumbs like, hey, this one. When you ask like where they're from, they are just like really vague about it, and like they say like, oh, I was running an errand around Neverwinter before, and I was heading back home, and then I got captured, And then, to get to the point, I guess, they asked to be like escorted essentially to where their mother was, or their adopted mother was, and they mentioned that their mother lived in the Crypt Garden Forest. And that character, it was a little sad. Yeah, it was a little sad. Like I wasn't upset that they figured it out. I was actually a little smug about it. Like, yeah, that's their adopted mother.
Mystery.
Yeah, stuff like that. But
I don't know about like. I would like to give them enough for them to start. Like, I would like to give them a big chunk of bread and then let them find the crumbs. Right? Like, the problem, the situation, you go and solve it. I'll give you locations and ambience and whatever is in the area, but you need to go and investigate it. You have been given a problem, you figure it out, right? So like the thing is like it's all right for them to not get it because like that's sometimes you can't get everything. So I kind of like I want them to feel that like. So what I do is I sort of have a tier of like levels sort of when I'm playing. I like from 1 to 5. I'll help you out. I'll be the kind DM. Just 10. I'm going to kill one of you off. Whether you like it or not, one of you are going to die. From 5 to 15, it's like some of you are going to die, and that's all right. From 50, if you make it to 15, I'll be surprised if you make it to 15. But if you make it to 15, I'm going to kill all of you. I aim to kill all of you.
But it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah. And so I sort of give that. It's the same with like the role playing as well. Like I'll help you out. I'll like give you social cues and like information that you want or need at the time. But slowly through the game, I'll sort of give back off and let you guys like what's to be expected of your characters and of me. Right. So if you ask for something, I'll give it to you. But if you like, I'm not gonna hold your hand through some of the stuff. Right.
What's the thing that Big Jack Horner says in the Puss in Boots film? It's like you can't make a pie without losing a dozen characters.
So you have to find that sweet balance with like your group, and it also depends on like if they're experienced or if they're like new, right? Because like new players, they won't know about persuasion, investigation, and stuff like that. But like experienced players, they'll be like, I investigated this. Do I see anything? Do I perceive anything? Like, that's it's that mix you have to find.
And like, there's always the careful thing because it's difficult to like teach someone how to play D&D in that regard because it's all about what the players want. So like, I do often like tell them like go watch like session 1 of like Critical Role, but I also always preface, you're not going to be playing Critical Role in my campaign.
Yeah.
Do not expect such quality.
Yeah, that's the thing Matt Mercer says, like, not every game is going to be like Critical Role, and just, like, it's like a bit of like a curse, like just hanging about it, just that maybe people getting the wrong experience when they first come in, like, they think it's going to be all flashy and, like, balls to the wall crazy, like, just from the get-go, but while D&D does have that, a lot of times there's just sessions where the characters are just talking and like investigating leads or just doing downtime. There's times and places for, crazy stuff, but D&D is very much like a group game. If a group wants to have just balls to the wall crazy, then let them have balls to the wall crazy.
I also wouldn't give like just one example. Like I wouldn't just send them off to Critical Role. I'll probably like go and have a look at also like Penny Arcade or like just the D&D like
I know
YouTube as well.
Yeah, like the big one that
anything
I would recommend outside of
the
big thing that I would recommend outside of like sending them to Critical Role. I don't know how many of you know Joe Cat on YouTube. Like I would send them to like his like the Belcanus Necro Hunt. That is, I think, a fantastic campaign for first time players to watch. Because it's just that sort of...
Oh, that guy? No, they did D&D stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, I think I recognize that. Okay, yeah.
The Belcanus
Wow, I did not
would be
know
a really good one.
What's spelt? Just Joe and Cat.
Yeah.
An animator.
Joe Cat, I like girls is the first thing that came up.
The videos come along with a surprising amount of controversy.
A crap guide to D&D.
Because people are awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe Cat D&D.
Okay.
Joe Cat's also just like a really good person.
He's fun first off. And all of his descriptions of like all the classes and like character sheet and all that, like they're just fun, but they still get the point across for a first time player.
Yeah.
And I do recommend the stuff done by Brennan Lee Mulligan and the Dropout and
Dimension 20.
Do you say it?
I'm not even going to.
I think that's right. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's right.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is, but I'll say you're right.
Another D&D animator,
animator, yeah.
That's him.
Mm-hmm.
I loved watching his thing on Grognard, actually.
That was hilarious. I really like that one. I would also throw out as a potential thing to steer people to get them a idea of how D&D plays would also be like Draw Detectives. That would be a really good one to go with too, because that one you have a whole bunch of artists who are like drawing stuff as they are going through the adventure.
It's cool. I like that. I want to play D&D now. I need to
Foundry, I would assume.
Because I haven't used either of them. I want to learn how to use them so I can run, campaigns with other VTubers, but I don't know how to use them.
I mean, I could run you through Roll20. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's what I use for my campaign.
You can run Warhammer for me, Sam, and
I haven't played since the start of 8th edition with Warhammer.
Well, we're in shiny new 10th now, boys.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
just like always, there is one completely busted faction above them all.
Yay!
And it's always going to be Space Marines.
Nope, it's Eldar.
Oh, really?
Eldar
edition being a Tyranid focused. You think with it too much to give them any good models?
Correct.
It's the elf
anyway. Warhammer.
Yeah, they focused on Nurgle. Nurgle got the broken stuff. 9th edition, they focused on Necrons, and they focused on Tyranids. Get the broken stuff. It's and
wait a minute.
As a Tyranid player, it hurts. But yeah, at least we got new models finally.
Yeah.
But I fortunately have to head out, guys. I don't know how much longer you guys are going to go on.
I think we'll probably end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you all for chatting with me about good players and other stuff.
No, I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Maybe for the next one, because what I was thinking of, I had two ideas. Either we just actually do an actual game, either Pathfinder or whatever, or I just look up advice, people that ask for advice on the D&D Reddit thing, and we can just answer their questions, like a D&D Q&A.
That sounds like a great idea, but I would also love to do it one shot. I think we should do it to a vote. That would be a good idea.
I would love to play a game, because the whole thing with answering questions of advice on the D&D Reddit, especially if it's a DM asking a question, the answer 9 times out of 10 is learn how to tell your players no.
Yeah.
Did I give my level 1 party a legendary item?
Oh yeah, fight over.
Yeah, sure, go ahead and do that, but then give every single bandit they come across +1 items that melt the moment.
Yeah. Let's see who's on Twitch now. Who would we like to raid? Raid Shadow.
Well, I'm pretty sure we have done this exact joke every single time.
Yeah. Do it again.
Chiqui. I cannot say his name and I don't know. So they're playing Fallout 4.
You can't say your friend's name? Jesus Christ.
Chikiwi or something. I don't know. They're playing Fallout 4. So everyone go and say hi to them. What
will the raid message be?
Straight fire.
Okay? Straight fire raid. Let's go.
/ I can't spell raid. I cannot spell raid. How nice. Everyone.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, I also misspelled it on my raid message, and it took me a week to notice.
No.
I mean, you're all doing better than me. I don't have raid messages.
Yeah, how do I do that? How do I stream? Someone teach me how to stream.
We're all professionals here, baby.
Oh, they're doing a charity event as well. Oh, okay. Give it a minute. Come on. Why does it take so long to raid? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you all. No, it's not. It's still. It's grayed out now. Okay, run. Bye.
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 See you all later.
See you guys.
It was great to see you guys. We definitely need to hang out more.
Indeed.
Yeah, we do.
You go. Thank you for the raid, everyone. Welcome the raiders. For all the new people, I am Cheeky. I'm your friendly Incubus Devil VTuber, and we're playing some. My pencil. Playing some Fallout 4. Thank you, GM. Hey, GM, are you a game master? Hey, thank you, Shanks. Are you Shanks? For some reason, I almost said Lamb Shanks. Thank you, Lamb Shanks. Game master. Ooh, nice. What games do you play? I am a dungeon.